Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today finally I will be talking about something that is more my line of business than the sister channel's line of business. Namely, we will talk about recently published in English book on nautical archaeology. Nautical archaeology, of course, comes from the Greek word nautos and implies that we are studying specifically ship remains. There is a small but very active group of us around the world who deal exactly with this. This book was written and published in French. Initially, this is a translation recently published by Texas A&M University Press. You can find the link to the book below for purchase. It is an overview. It is looking at the development of shipbuilding through study and investigation of a number of wrecks. It is looking not only of the what and how, but also the why of developments in shipbuilding. It is written by Professors Patrice Pomey and Rieth, who Professor Rieth is still with us and is an active researcher and continues. He's probably one of the top 5 maritime archaeologists in the world. Brilliant mind. I have long admired his work. And in fact, some of my methods of research have been directly borrowed from Professor Rieth, as I have told him before at conferences. The other author, most unfortunately, a few years ago passed away. It was Professor Patrice Pomey, one of the foremost specialists in ancient seafaring. Much of his career was dedicated to ancient wrecks, while Professor Rieth also studies post-medieval wrecks. The book is very well illustrated. It is addressing the... Actually, if you look straight at the chapters, at the contents of the book, they do not grab your heart and grab your eye immediately. Definitions and issues, sources, methods, results and perspectives. It sounds bland until you start opening the actual chapters and reading them. And then it begins to be infinitely interesting because, well, for one thing, they are addressing development of seafaring from the earliest wrecks and the earliest evidence that we have. They combine written with iconographic and archaeological evidence of vessels in development of construction. They are discussing the types of vessels, the tasks that these vessels are built from ancient times to the present day. They also discuss and illustrate shipwreck construction as methods. And this really is where this bears down upon ship modeling. Because especially in the earlier days, many of the younger colleagues nowadays think that if they can design it in one of the CAD packages, one of the 3D programs, they've done their job. They don't need to analyze anything more because, oh, they have a 3D model of it. Oh, that's really hot. But that is, of course, nonsense. This is just a tool. Sometimes it is a very useful tool. It's very helpful, but it is only a tool. It is not giving you much. Well, the traditional way, and a way that you still has room in serious maritime archaeology, rather than just 3D playing around, as the youngsters are doing, is still required to develop actual physical 3-dimensional model from cardboard, whatever material you have, to test the hypothesis of your reconstruction. It is amazing how much a physical model can give you more than a 3-dimensional, purely computer-based model can. And I recognize the developments of the modern methods of construction, modern methods of analysis. They have their space. They have their legitimate existence. But this does not mean that we should drop the old models. And here, in this book, they're not only illustrating, for example, right here, they are illustrating the sequence of construction with bottom-based construction vessels similar to Kyrenia wreck. In other places, we see the Bremenkock represented with determined through beams. It is showing structures of Son versus Morcentenan joinery. This, of course, is a replica of the Kyrenia. It is showing us the conceptualization. It is discussing the ideas, the thought process behind the development of different vessels and constructions. And then, of course, it is popularizing vessels that, yet again, there is a rather rude Bulgarian proverb that applies to my case at the moment. I will not attempt to translate it, but essentially it is saying that one story granny knows, one story granny repeats. In my case, it is, yet again, I'm bemoaning the fact that there will be hundreds of thousands of Black Pearl models when there are so many more interesting ships. Look at the KV-1. Look how much is surviving. It has been documented. It has been published. This material is out there, and a beautiful, unique model can be constructed of it. Or this section over here, for example, this is the San Juan, Basque whaler of the mid-16th century, variously described as now and modern days mistakenly also described as a galleon. At any rate, it is a Rio ship. It is perfectly well preserved. The Canadians did an incredible, Parks Canada did an incredible job of publishing it in a multi-volume publication that one can get through interlibrary loan service if one cannot buy it. But there, every detail is described, every connection, every fastener, every timber is drawn. It is a treasure trove of information for ship modelers. It goes through the conceptualization of vessels. For example, over here, it is showing Viking design and how people really thought. It is going through hull molding processes. It is all demonstrating how timber was utilized in these sites and wrecks, and how much and what we have learned from the systematic study of shipwrecks, which began in 1960 with the excavations of Cape Caledonia directed by the late and much lamented Professor George Bass. I had the privilege of being his last class. So if you have any real interest in ships and seafaring, I highly recommend this volume by Rieth and the late Professor Patrice Pomey. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening to my rant. Thank you so much for sponsoring the channel. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you soon again. Thank you.